silence can be louder than a scream. The Duke of Blackwood learned this the hard way. For 10 years he had been married to a ghost. His wife, the Duchess Seraphina, was the most beautiful woman in the county. She was also mute. She hadn't spoken a single word since the day they were married, not a whisper, not a cry. The doctors said it was shock. The servants said she was cursed. The Duke, in his darker moments, feared she simply hated him. He had been an arranged match, forced upon her by her ambitious father. Perhaps her silence was her protest. Over the years, the Duke grew cold. He stopped trying to talk to her. He spent his days riding his estates and his nights in the library, while Seraphina floated through the manor like a spectre, always silent, always sad. Then Mr. Thorne arrived. He was a young music tutor, hired to teach the Duke's niece. But the music he played on the grand piano in the drawing room seemed to wake the house from its slumber. One afternoon, the Duke returned early from a hunt. He walked toward the drawing room and stopped. He heard the piano, Mr. Thorne playing a melancholic melody. But he heard something else, humming. It was low, shaky, but undeniably human. The Duke crept closer. Through the crack in the door he saw his wife. Seraphina was sitting by the piano, her eyes closed, swaying to the music. And she was humming. The Duke's heart hammered against his ribs. She could make sound. She wasn't mute. She was choosing it. Anger, hot and sudden, flooded him. 10 years of silence. 10 years of making him feel like a monster. He burst into the room. Seraphina's eyes flew open. The humming stopped instantly. She shrank back, terror written on her face. "You can speak!" the Duke roared, the hurt pouring out of him. "All this time. You let me believe you were broken. You let me believe I was the cause." Seraphina shook her head frantically. She reached for a notebook she always carried, but the Duke slapped it away. "No more notes! Speak to me! Why have you punished me for 10 years? Seraphina didn't speak. Instead, she ran. She fled the room, leaving the Duke panting in the silence. Mr. Thorne, who had been sitting frozen at the keys, cleared his throat. "Your Grace," he said softly. "She wasn't punishing you, she was protecting you." The Duke spun around. "What do you know?" Mr. Thorne picked up the fallen notebook. It had fallen open. It wasn't full of household lists. It was full of letters. Letters addressed to the Duke, never sent. "Read the last entry," Mr. Thorne said. The Duke took the book. His hands shook as he read the ink, stained with fresh tears. "My dearest husband, you ask why I am silent. You think I hate you. If only you knew. On our wedding day, my father told me the truth. He owes money to men who do not forgive debts. He told me that if I ever revealed his treason against the crown, treason I witnessed in his study, he would kill you. He said he has a spy in this very house. He said the moment I speak a word of truth, your life is forfeit. So I gave you my voice. I locked it away to keep your heart beating. I would rather be a silent ghost in your house than a weeping widow at your grave." The Duke fell into the nearest chair. The anger vanished, replaced by a grief so profound it doubled him over. She hadn't been silent out of hate. She had been silent out of love. A love so fierce she had sacrificed her own existence to ensure his. He ran. He ran up the grand staircase, shouting her name. He found her in their bedroom, packing a bag, her face wet with tears. "Seraphina!" She flinched, expecting his rage. The Duke didn't yell. He walked to her and took her face in his hands. He looked into the eyes of the woman who had saved him every single day for 10 years. "I know," he choked out. "I know about your father. I know about the threat." Seraphina's eyes widened. She opened her mouth to scream a warning, but he covered her lips with his thumb. "Let him come," the Duke whispered fiercely. "Let your father come. Let his spies come. I will burn the world before I let them touch you again. But please, Seraphina, tell me you love me." just once." Seraphina looked at him. She saw the strength in his jaw, the love in his eyes. The fear that had silenced her for a decade began to crack. She took a breath. It rasped in her unused throat. "I," she croaked. The sound was rough, broken, but to the Duke it was the sweetest music he had ever heard. "I love you." The Duke kissed her, sealing the promise. That night, the Duke dismissed every servant in the house. He hired a new guard, and when Seraphina's father came to collect his due, he found not a silent, frightened girl, but a duchess with a voice of iron, standing beside a husband who would never let her be silenced again. Seraphina gave up her voice for a decade to save her husband's life. That is a level of sacrifice that seems almost impossible in today's world. Would you have the strength to stay silent for 10 years to save the person you love? Or is truth always more important than safety? I'm dying to hear your perspective in the comment.